Hey everybody, my name is Chayne Toyama from the Kopio News Press, and this is David Hong. He is the president of a brand new club here on campus called Speak Slam. So, David, why did you decide to make Speak Slam?
I'm actually kind of involved with the Hawaii Slam here with the scene down here, and went to nationals, and I was really inspired to and wanted to kind of just share poetry with other people and see if anybody else was interested in it. So yeah.
Okay. So, if anybody is actually interested in joining your club, how would they contact you?
You guys can definitely come out. You can contact me through speakslam@gmail.com. You can also email me at davidph@hawaii.edu. You can also find me around campus. I'm everywhere, so yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a few moments. We're going to let David spit one of his pieces. So, take it away.
To my future wife, who may or may not be here, if we have a daughter, I'd like to name her Latasha. And if we have a son, I'd like to name him Harlins, but allow me to explain. You see, I grew up in East Oakland where from the moment I was born, I knew I was different because I thought English and Korean were the same language. My pops had a shop a few blocks from where we grew up on the corner of 38th and MacArthur. We lived in a small home with windows that resembled prison bars filled with a distinct smell of kimchi. We were the only Koreans in our neighborhood, and my parents isolated us like they would in North Korea, spitting propaganda that led me to believe the color black was inferior to yellow. This lie that consumed my childhood forced me to look at the color of my skin, taking caution and yielding before getting to know any of my fellow classmates growing up. And by the time I was 7 or 8, I began to put the African race into one group like a concentration camp, judging them and abusing them in silence, from fear that these prisoners of my mind would break out and cause a riot, beating me senseless from my senseless thoughts, or even worse, becoming another statistic of an all too commonly witnessed drive-by on the crack corners filled with stained rivers of blood. Then on March 16, 1991, my parents read in the Korean newspaper about a wife of a Korean liquor store owner shooting a 15-year-old black girl in the back of her head. She claimed that the girl was trying to steal from her, so she used the bullet to end a life that had only just begun, all over a bottle of juice. I now can't help but think even the Nazis killed for reasons like this. In November, the wife was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter, but was only sentenced to 5 years probation with a fine. And apparently that little girl's life was only worth $500. A few months later, when the LA riots broke out over the beating of Rodney King, Korean shops seemed to be the target of this insurgency. You see, camp was finally out. I remember listening to my father and mother talking to each other at night, in fear of the business they had built, in fear of the house that we lived in fear of our lives. Remember, we were the only Koreans that called their neighborhood in East Oakland home. I asked my father, "우리 괜찮을 것 같아요? Are we going to be okay?" My father, who still to this day can barely speak any English, who got so used to his store being robbed at gunpoint that the barrel of a gun looked like the end of an escape tunnel, replied with, "이게 우리 잘못이다. 이 일은 네가 꼭 기억해야 된다. This is our fault, and I want you to never forget this moment." So to my future wife, if we have a daughter, I want to name her in honor of the moment that when I witnessed my father resemble the dream of Martin Luther King. If we have a son, I want to name him to remind my people of the prison we created that caused the murder of that young girl who only tried to escape. So if we have a daughter, let's name her Latasha. If we have a son, Harlins. Latasha Harlins, I will always remember your name. So I pray, may you rest in peace. Oh.
That was great. Okay, so how long have you been writing poetry?
Technically, I've been writing poetry for about 8 or 9 years, but I've always been kind of too afraid to perform, and it took me about 8 or 9 years to find the cojones to perform.
Okay, so you finally performed. Where was your first performance?
My first performance was actually here last semester. It was at spring semester of 2011 at the KCC Slam Contest. So that was kind of a unique experience. And then from there, people referred me to Hawaii Slam, and that's how I kind of, the rest is kind of history.
I see. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. And once again, this is David Hong, the president of Speak Slam, and I'm Chayne Toyama from the Kopio News Press. So until next time, see ya!